So welcome everyone to CXPS roundtables with our excellent CX-cellence winners. There's a lot of excellence in there. So of course, no surprise coming from Jen Carro and the team over at Marcum. A lot of excellence to be had. So look forward to hearing a little bit more about Jen's story and journey and allowing some Q&A with her as well. A little bit of housekeeping. If you guys have not yet signed up for the CXPS conference this May 8th through 11th in Durham, North Carolina, go to clientexperience.org and learn more about it and sign up there. We'd love to have you. And with that, I will not keep too many of you waiting with further announcements. We'll turn this over to Jen. I know you had 2 entries, both on a CX week as well as launching a CX program. So look forward to hearing an overview of what you're doing, and then we'll go to questions.
Sounds good, and thank you, Ryan. Hello, everyone. As the promotion said for this roundtable, and a lot of what our award submissions focused on was, of course, like Ryan said, the launch of our CX program and our inaugural CX week, with a focus on how we empowered employees, engaged our partners and associates throughout it all, and made it a better experience for them along with our clients as well. So we all know that client and employee experiences depend on each other and are so tightly interconnected. And so how we have engaged partners and associates across the organization and how we've empowered them to make a difference in our clients' experience is key. So it's worth noting, of course, as you all probably know already, I lead client experience for Marcum. I do not lead employee experience. We don't have a dedicated EX person. It lives within our HR system. So I will be approaching this today through the lens of client experience. And so with that being said, I want to first start with our client experience program and how we launched. As a little caveat, I think I have way too many slides for a 30-minute presentation. So please interrupt me at any point. I'm going to try to get through this quickly, but if you want me to take this in a different direction or have questions, come off mute, put it in the chat. All right, so I want to start with our CX program, the launch of it, and how we really engaged employees to make a difference and help even set our CX strategy. So when we first thought of starting a CX program at Marcum, we knew we couldn't just do it alone from our small CX team. It was me and 2 others at the time. We needed not only a cohort or advisory committee is what we call it today to help kind of prioritize and shape CX progress throughout the firm. But when I first started, and before we even launched the program, but people caught wind that CX was a strategic priority, they hired a director of client experience, this new program was about to launch. My calendar filled up so quickly with calls and meetings and people interested to learn more, interested in getting involved, had so many questions, were excited about this. It was something they did at their prior firm. They wanted to see what Marcum was doing. And so I quickly gathered a long list of CX ambassadors that had a passion for it, wanted to be involved, wanted to serve on the committee, had feedback to provide on where there's friction points currently in service delivery from an EX perspective. And so we started building ambassador groups. We started building our CX advisory committee. But we also had something long established at Marcum, which was what we call ARGs. It's our associate resource groups. And so we partnered with our HR and got feedback from associates from all groups within the firm across service lines, industries, regions to tell us what's going wrong with the client experience in terms of service delivery as it stands today. Where are there inefficiencies? Where are there miscommunications? Where are there friction points or pain points from an EX perspective that impacts the client experience and is having negative impacts on client retention, client loyalty, client satisfaction, the list goes on and on. So we invited them to have a say in where we can focus our time and attention and where we can help them along the way. Now, we set realistic expectations. We told them we couldn't get to all of it. We had to prioritize what we could at least focus on in year 1. We can't solve everyone's problems overnight. So we, just like we do with clients, we set realistic expectations with employees on what we were going to try first and what we were going to work on as the program matured. So these are just questions we asked our employees at all levels of the firm, from admin to executive committee members. What friction points exist? What should we prioritize from your perspective in terms of CX enhancements? How involved do you want to be in our MCX program? And so we've leaned on all of these people, all of their feedback, even today, to bounce ideas off of, help us shape CX priorities at the firm. When we launched our program, we knew it had to be a true team effort, engaging every member of the firm. And so we invited all associates, regardless of rank or responsibility, to learn about client experience in our industry and what our plans were for MCX. So since our initial kickoff, we've collaborated with associates at all levels to brainstorm, to help guide CX efforts. When it comes to employee empowerment, I think it came into play more when we first launched our program and when we specifically launched our client feedback program. So first, when we launched our program, as you all know, CX is all about empathy. And so we had to put ourselves in our employees' shoes to figure out what their concerns were, what hesitations they had about an MCX program. And if you sat in on my workshop at CXPS, this is a little bit redundant and I apologize, but I think it's important to mention again, because we talked to them about not only what CX was, has it related to their perspective, but we also debunked some myths about CX programs. And this is just an example of one thing we talked about how CX programs are not, in fact, about invading your client relationships. So again, we empathize, but we also set expectations for them about what exactly to expect and what we would do in year one. So everything from launching a feedback program to developing client service standards to launching a robust training curriculum is something we told them early on and have fulfilled all in the 12 months of our first year. So transparency is key in having a good employee experience and engagement with the program. And of course, we kept transparency theme going and continue to do so to this day. So not only do we provide quarterly updates, again, it goes firm-wide, all employees have access to it, that shares CX priorities, progress, what to expect in the next quarter. We also share all client feedback insights, not at a granular level, not individual reports, but key themes, lessons learned, and action steps. Again, firm-wide via reports like you see here and presentations as well. So 6 months after we launched our first firm-wide client feedback program, not the MCX program overall, but our feedback program, we recognized that more often than not, challenging feedback and areas for CX improvement kind of dominated our discussions. We all know when feedback comes in, even if 95% of clients are extremely happy, those 5% that have something critical to say is what we focus on and what we just harp over. And it's the pain point for us, and no one likes to receive constructive feedback, but it's even more problemsome when we only focus on the negative. And so that's tended to dominate this discussion. And so Marcum's CX Week was born from a desire to shift that narrative. So it provided us with a platform to celebrate service successes of all Marcum associates over the past year. And it was used to raise awareness for what CX progress looks like within Marcum after year one. And so we joined every organization around the world who celebrated National Client Service Week in October and launched Marcum's inaugural CX Week last year. And this is really what it entailed. It was all about success, celebration, praise, about everyone getting it right at the firm and areas of the experience we really excelled at. So we did a client testimonial video showcasing some of the best client quotes we could have received, highlighting Marcum associates, partners, applauding them for their wonderful service. We had our own shout out program where everyone at the firm could be eligible to nominate anyone else at the firm for having witnessed them do wonderful client service work or do something to go above and beyond to create wonderful experiences for clients. We had educational programs. We talked about creating a culture of client service excellence. We shared our client feedback report highlighting really areas of the experience where we excel and giving people not only some of the constructive feedback, but resources and training opportunities to course correct. This is just some of the pictures and highlights from that week. We saw a ton of engagement. Over 90% of all of the emails that went out were opened and read. More than 2,000 views for our Caught in the Act program with over 100 award recipients in 2021. That more than doubled this year. We had more than, I think, 500 employees firm-wide read our client feedback report. More than 700 watched our testimonial video. And the list goes on, but the engagement for this was incredibly high, and we got really wonderful feedback because it was a time when we could just focus on the positive. And as you know, that boosts morale, employee experience, and the like. We do seek employee feedback too. So while we did both of these initiatives, the launch of the program and launch of CX Week, throughout it all, we constantly are asking our employees, is this working for you? What more do you want to see of our MCX program? Is this feedback program run well enough to meet your needs, not only your clients? And so each year, even at our partner retreat, our CEO has a polling session. He polls all of our partners over 100 questions. And one of the questions every year is, do you support our MCX program? So in year one, 84% of partners said that they did fully support our MCX program. Mind you, this comes after the feedback programs have concluded. That's up to 93% now. More than 750 employees have attended at least one CX presentation in 2021, which more than doubled this year. But what I think is important to the health of client relationships is what you see in some of these quotes here, that employees feel like they're more confident in their service delivery because of our program and what we offer, that they now know how to manage challenging clients and situations. And they approach their relationships not through their own perspective, but from the lens of their clients, which is what it's all about. We also ask them for specific feedback on our own survey and interview programs as well. We track different metrics here, but the ones they've shared is that over 30% of partners either uncovered previously unvoiced complaints that led to service recovery efforts, and more than 50% of partners said that they learned something new about their client relationships to help them strengthen their relationships that they have with their clients alike. So this is something that we are committed to long-term. It's not just about the clients for us. Of course, that's our North Star. It's always about client experience and client first, but we need employees to get on board to understand what this is for and to have a good experience engaging with our MCX program. So last, but certainly not least, and then we can open it up to Q&A, we, as a part of our one-year strategy and plan, was to launch firm-wide client service standards. We launched this at the partner retreat first and then firm-wide later this year, or later last year, early this year. And when we did it, it was built with not only client feedback, but it was more so through the lens of this is what our clients say it looks like when you are at your best. So when our partners and associates, when our Marcum employees show up at their best for our clients, this is what we deliver to them on a daily basis. And so reliability, sincerity, confidence, trust, and personalization became our Northern Stars for service standards at the firm. And we train on those regularly, giving examples of the wonderful things our employees are doing in our trainings, in our storytelling, and in our presentations throughout the firm to bring them into the fold and give them really good real life examples to be proud of. So with that, I would love to answer questions, dive a little bit deeper into any areas that I didn't touch on enough, and talk a little bit more about these submissions.
Jen, thank you very much. So,
absolutely.
Questions from the crowd here?
Well, I'll pipe in. Jen, first of all, so impressive. Like, not at all surprised, but those results just speak volumes. And Marcum's a huge organization, so the fact that you've been able to accomplish so much, get so much engagement, I think is just massively impressive. And you know this because we've talked about it, but I think this is where the rubber meets the road. It doesn't matter if it's accounting or legal or anything really. If the experience is bad, you're gonna lose market share. I mean, that's where it's at. Mm-hmm. So, but my question is, to what degree did you engage the clients? Obviously you did surveys, and did you get feedback from them? And I'm kind of setting it up to, like, I would imagine that the clients would be extremely happy that Marcum has this program.
Yes. Yes. So I approached this presentation today through the lens of employee experience, but absolutely client feedback was involved. We did it a couple different ways. When I first joined the firm, we did our own client journey mapping exercise. And so when we were developing Marcum's client journey map, before we launched our feedback program, we did our own client journey mapping case study. And so I got on the phone with clients from all over the country, different service lines, geographies, industries, to talk about their experience along Marcum's journey at different touch points, how they felt, what they wanted, what they were prioritizing at each stage, what their goals and objectives were at each stage. And so that feedback played a role. And their voices were heard. That was the case study shared from wide before we even launched our feedback program. And it was all very positive. It wasn't areas we were dropping the ball necessarily, but what they wanted, their goals, feelings, etc. We then launched our actual survey via Client Savvy's client feedback tool. In 3 sections. Client feedback wasn't necessarily completely new to Marcum, I should say. We had regions in the past kind of sporadically launched different kinds of surveys. It was never institutionalized. It was never streamlined or consistent across regions at all. And I think the last feedback survey that had went out was at least 3 to 4 years old when we launched our first feedback survey. We got over 1,600 responses in year 1. Wow. And that absolutely shaped not only our client service standards and what it looks like when we show up at our best for our client, but it helped everyone kind of get over the hurdle of understanding what a large-scale client feedback program could look like. And from an EX perspective, we did a lot of training and presentations before we even launched that feedback program, because feedback, as you know, makes people vulnerable. You're professionals, it makes them uncomfortable. So we had to really talk about how this is not a guilt or shame exercise. This is not going to be used to reward others and put others down. It's going to be learned as a learning experience, and we aggregate the data to share key themes firm-wide. We don't share specific survey results unless it's in the form of wonderful shout outs and client testimonials. So yeah, client feedback shapes not only our client service standards and our follow-up, but it also shapes our priorities and where we need to fill service gaps and pilot project new initiatives.
Congratulations. Huge, huge success.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I echo what Angela said. I remember seeing your program during the May conference, and it was impressive back then, and it's only gotten better since. So I'm wondering, what are your plans, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, for 2023? Like, how are you going to level that up?
Yeah, so these submissions, mind you, were all work that had been done in 2021. So 2022 is our year 2 of the program, where we've kind of scaled and matured it. So we introduced M&A integration best practices this year to fill service gaps. We introduced client interviews this year to get a different avenue for soliciting client insights. We worked on succession planning this year, developing a checklist. And mind you, this is all based on client feedback that we got in 2021. As we plan for 2023, we definitely are getting the feedback from our partners and associates that they want more interviews. It just provides more in-depth insights. We'll always do the survey. Survey's great. We're probably going to expand the interview program, and we might even add more surveys to it. So we might parse out advisory, do it end of engagement, do tax and audit different timelines. So something we're working on. But beyond that, again, based on client feedback and where we see service gaps, we need to work on client onboarding next year. We want to pilot test a key client teams program because we are having problems with departments sharing information about clients. We have a CRM system. As you probably all know, the heartache with CRM systems, and it's not always fully utilized. So we need some avenues to explore to get people communicating and sharing valuable client insights and information on a regular basis. And more to come. I don't know. We have our CX advisory committee meeting. We refresh our CX advisory every year. So we regroup with our new advisory at the end of this month, actually, and we will roundtable with them client feedback trends from this year, and they will help us prioritize different areas to pilot test and focus on in 2023.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things, oh, sorry, go ahead, Caitlin. I saw you.
Yeah, sorry. I had a quick question. So can you talk a little bit about the your interviews? Because we do a similar thing, and right now it's kind of limited to CEO client interviews, and I go along with our CEO. But I'm curious if you have more people involved in that process and kind of what it looks like from who's involved on Marcum's side, how you identify those clients, and really kind of how you execute that.
So there's a lot of people involved. I pulled from, this was a pilot test this year. So I pulled our top 100 clients firm-wide based on revenue. We just took our top client, most significant client tier this year, and they were all selected for inclusion into the program. Next year, we'll diversify that more to get more representation from different industries and regions, what have you. But this year is solely based on revenue. I conducted about 55% of the interviews myself. There were some leaders within the firm that really wanted to sit in and co-facilitate interviews with me. And I did let them. That has worked and it can work. We did a whole prep session though, so they understood well in advance that these interviews, we don't go in them with the mindset of cross-selling. They're not meant to be a sales meeting or call. I also had to coach them to make sure that they understood we are not there to immediately solve problems too. If clients express constructive areas of pain or concern, we're not there to bash our colleagues. We're not there to make promises we don't know if we can keep. We are there to empathize and say sorry, and that we will work to rectify the issue after talking with the engagement team. So, and there's more to it, but they needed to be coached. We also engaged a third-party consultancy, Wicker Park Group, who is a partner of Client Savvy's, who does a ton of client interviews. They did the other 45% of the interviews. We only did them within a 3-month span. Next year, we're going to do a lot more because I'll start them probably in February. But that was the approach. So between me, 2 Wicker Park Group consultants, and about 3 to 4 RMPs that wanted to sit in, there was probably, I don't know, whatever that adds up to, 9 or so folks that were a part of the program. They are time intensive, I will say. There's pre-meetings with the engagement team members, there's the interview itself, there's the post-meeting recap, the interview reports, prep calls, all that stuff. But it's a worthwhile investment from my perspective.
Awesome, thank you very much.
One of the other things I'll say, and in the time we have left, is when it comes to integration into the firm, which was a CX priority, we also partnered with our DE&I program, diversity, equity, inclusion. And so one of the things on the horizon for next year is to do diverse client spotlights just within the firm. Nothing we'll share externally, but we already do employee spotlights now, sharing their diverse story, background. And so we're going to be partnering with them to showcase some of the most amazing, wonderful, diverse clients we support at the firm too. So CX has a bunch of different arms and can be integrated into almost every area of the firm, truly. So that's something we'll be focusing on too.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Here you were concerned you weren't going to get through all your slides in time, and you nailed it. We got the questions answered, some good conversation, and
absolutely
about 4 or 5 minutes left. So thank you very much, Jen. I really appreciate the insights. It's always heartwarming to see when a firm comes in and shares some of their secret sauce with the world, who may include competitors, but I do think we're all better together by working together like this. So thank you for doing that, sharing your insights. And I am sure I'll be hitting you up for an update at CXPS next year. So
sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone. It was good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
Dave.